I'm going to begin by asking, I mean, of course, this was based on two separate kind of real-life diaries. What was it about these particular tales that really inspired you to making this movie?
I was fascinated by the way in which these men were the first ones to bring a human point of view about the indigenous peoples to the world. 100 years ago, the world was a very different place. And just the idea, the indigenous people of the Amazon were seen as sort of subhuman, God-forsaken creatures that were primitive and that had no technology, and they had, and these ethnographers, they essentially brought the message to the world that these people actually are owners of knowledge, and it's a knowledge that is ancient, and that is something we can learn from, and that was revolutionary at the time, and sadly still is. But the impact that these diaries had in creating a new consciousness was huge, and all the countercultural movements that shook really the world during the 20th century were in one way or another influenced by this knowledge that was shared.
And do you feel almost a sort of responsibility as a filmmaker to also portray that as well, to show that, well, to kind of perpetuate that notion?
I think the film is not the Amazon. What you see in the film is just the film is just a small window through which you get a small glimpse of a world that is much more complex and that doesn't fit into a single film. It doesn't fit into 1,000 films. But it's hopefully a glimpse that will spark some curiosity in you, and give you an idea that there's a lot more to this world than what we had been in contact with so far.
And talking about curiosity, what's the meaning behind the title of this movie?
In Amazonian mythology, the humans were brought to Earth by some mythological mighty snakes, anacondas, that descended from the Milky Way and brought humans to their home and in the jungle. So they would go up what is now the river, and they would leave people in their places of settlement. And these anacondas had they were led by these mythical figures that explained to men, to the first men, what it was, how to live, what it was necessary to live in the world, how to grow the plants, how to take care of the place that had been given to them. And then they went back to the Milky Way, and the anacondas became the rivers, and the wrinkles on the skin became the waterfalls. And they left a series of gifts, and one of those gifts was the sacred plants. When you have a doubt, when you have a question about how to live, how to exist in the world, you can use the sacred plants and to communicate back to them. And when that happens, the anaconda comes back again, descends again from the Milky Way, and it embraces you. And that embrace takes you to new places, faraway places before life exists, and where you can get a new perspective on the world. So that's what we hope the film will be for audiences.
Because I mean, you're very knowledgeable about this subject. Was that something that derives from making the film, or were you already really kind of interested and passionate about this whole kind of world beforehand?
Making a film in the Amazon was a lifelong dream of mine. But I really didn't know much about it. In Colombia, it's a huge part of the territory, but we haven't really heard that many stories from the Amazon and from its people, So I had done two previous films that were extremely personal, and I wanted to get away from that and just go into the unknown, delve into the unknown, and invite the viewer into a journey into the unknown. And the Amazon stands for that. The Amazon represents the big unknown for us in Colombia. So that's when I started just reading about it, and when I came up on the journals of the explorers, and thought that I was amazed by the story and by the fact that it hadn't been told yet.
And was there, I mean, it sounds like an incredible experience to have made this movie. Was that one of the kind of the additional perks to this whole project, is that you got to spend all of this time learning yourself, not just making a movie, but kind of taking in so many kind of life experiences?
Yeah, definitely. The film is a reflection of a personal experience. being in the Amazon, of being deeply confronted about who you are and what you believe in, and the film, I think, is about sharing those questions, those very personal questions with the audiences, because this is a level of questioning that we don't usually do, and that we can actually gain a lot from.
And I mean, of course, the film was nominated for an Oscar. Congratulations. How much can that mean to a film like this in terms of worldwide distribution and kind of awareness for your project?
The film had been very well received on the festival circuit, and it had already managed to get distribution in many places. But definitely, the nomination allowed the film to be discovered by a larger audience and to have windows that it would be very difficult for a film of these characteristics to get. So the important thing is that it's being discovered by a wider audience, and that means a lot to me.
Did it feel quite kind of strange, almost quite surreal, when a film that's almost celebrating the notion of kind of purity in kind of the human race at an event where it's the complete polar opposite, the kind of Oscars, all of the glitz and the glamour? I mean, was there quite a strange contrast for you?
Yeah, it was ironic. It was strange. It was surreal. Antonio, who plays Older Karamakati, he was there at the ceremony, and everyone was absolutely dazzled by him. All the celebrities wanted to talk to him and take pictures with him, and he was, but he didn't take it too seriously at all. To him it was just a surreal comedic moment, but he didn't think that life was like this at all. It's just one of those strange moments, and I think that perspective was very healthy. And I also learned a lot from I just learned a lot from being around them and the way they perceive these different things of the world. But yes, definitely the Academy was extremely warm, and they gave us a very warm welcome, and they made us feel very, very at home, and it's just a big celebration of cinema in its different kind of forms, and it's just an honor to be there with so much amazingly talented people.
And as you were saying before, it obviously raises awareness about the movie, but it also shows the kind of the space, the destructive kind of nature and the imprint left by the colonialism. I mean, was that something that you really wanted to kind of get across? Because it's a very kind of prevalent theme in this movie.
Yes, for me, that is not the main theme of the film. To me, it is more of the backdrop element. This is something that was there, whether you wanted to or not. Yeah. And when you are recreating this moment in Amazonian history, you're going to see that all around you. So, but for me, it wasn't a film about victimizing the Amazonian people and how evil colonialism was. No, the film is about knowledge and how men of different worlds can come together through knowledge, and how it's possible for a dialogue to exist, even when there's a whole world coming between the people.
And it's been 6 years since your last film. I was just wondering, are we going to have to wait that long for the next one? Have you got one sort of lined up a bit sooner?
We're shooting the next film hopefully in 2017. So hopefully in a couple of years we will be able to offer it to audiences.
And do you think that Embrace of the Serpent has really helped that get off the ground? I mean, not just the Academy Award nomination, but just like you said, the success on the festival circuit, it must have helped give it the boost it needed, perhaps.
Yes, it's definitely more easy now to get support for new projects, and there are very interesting projects coming along, not only in Colombian cinema but also in international cinema. So hopefully I'll have a chance to work on films that reach wider audiences, which is something that you're always looking for.
So just, my final question is, I mean, I was interviewed a director last week called Whit Stillman, who I think he's made 4 films in sort of 20 years. I think you've made 3 across the past sort of decade, and you have some directors like Woody Allen making 1 film a year. I mean, what's behind this particular approach? Do you prefer having a longer period of preparation before a movie and longer between films? Is that just a sort of personal preference for you?
Yes, every film is extremely demanding. It takes a lot out of me. And after I'm done, I have a period in which I don't want to think about making a film again, because it's just too demanding. It takes you away from your family, and it takes you, and it's sort of. But it's not for me. It's not a job. It's not like going to the office to make a film. It really needs to mean something. It really needs to come from a true place, and really honestly, I need to feel like some part of me would die if I didn't make it. So it has to be essential to make the film. Otherwise, I don't like making films just for making them. You know, it has to be, this particular film has to exist. It's important that it exists, and then it's worth all the effort that comes into doing it.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for your time.
No,
Much
all right,
appreciated.
thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey!